Now, one of the most critical functions in capillary HPLC is making your connections and setting your ferrules at the correct depth in your fittings. If this is done incorrectly, it can leave gaps, and for capillary HPLC, any gap is deadly. Your peak shapes will degrade. It's just a disaster. So you want to make sure that your ferrules are set correctly. And one way to do that is to use the same ferrule from the same manufacturer that your fitting is. So if you have a Valco fitting, use a Valco ferrule. Quite often they'll ship the fitting with the correct ferrule. But more than likely you'll end up buying a pack of ferrules so you can make additional fittings. So you just take a ferrule, put it on your piece of PEEK, because you're going to be making a fuse silica connection. Push the fuse silica through the PEEK tubing, it pokes out the end there, push it into the connection. You want to make sure that everything is correct before you crimp that ferrule down on the PEEK tubing. And so oftentimes you'll see me continually push that fuse silica in, push the PEEK in, make sure that it's set correctly. And if you have the correct diameter of PEEK and fuse silica, it doesn't take a lot of force to crimp that ferrule on. And you don't want to go too tight. It's difficult to crush the fuse silica, but you can make it so tight that you can't pull the fuse silica out again, which is not a good idea. So usually it's a quarter turn and you're set. And what I'll do is, after I've made the fitting, is I'll undo it. And check to see that the ferrule is set at the correct distance. And once you get used to making fittings with different types of unions, you'll learn to recognize what the correct distance is. It's not uncommon for me to set the ferrule wrong. That happens occasionally, and what you'll see is that ferrule will be way too close to the end, and it'll be just obvious that you've done it wrong. And remember, you don't have to over tighten, but that ferrule has to be set securely on the PEEK. And that's pretty much it for one of the most critical functions in capillary HPLC, setting fittings. Just make sure that when you're tightening it down that the fuse silica is all the way in and that the PEEK is bottomed out, the bottom of that nut. And then begin your tightening process. Alright, good luck, and this little lesson should serve you well throughout your days in capillary. I'll be talking to you later, and we hope to have many more videos to come.